here you are. So we're all good.
To be honest with you, my head has been all over the place. I'm moving home, first baby, nearly due as well. So when Simba messaged me, I was like, yep, I'll do it. And then I feel like probably shouldn't have agreed, but didn't want to let anyone down. So yeah.
Oh my God. So first baby. Okay, everyone, I'm looking at, by the way, life will be so much different after the first baby.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to convince myself everything's going to be normal and I'll work from home and figure it out. But everybody says the opposite.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I manage with 4 kids, so but that's a whole other story. Let's jump right in. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Um, Khalid Saleh, Adam Kitchen. You're in the UK. Whereabouts in the UK, Adam?
I am in the UK. I'm in sunny Liverpool in the north, so not London, where most people seem to just assume, but I'm in the north.
Okay, awesome. I make it to Liverpool usually once a year, by the way. So next time I'm there, I will ping you. So today we're talking Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I know it's October 3rd and we're already start talking about it. Before we jump in and I turn it over to you, Adam, now, if in case you don't know Adam, he runs a really cool name, by the way, Magnet Monster. I love the name. I mean, look at me, I create a company and it's like Invesp. It's like, what kind of name is that? I don't know what kind of name, you have a really cool name. They are the go-to agency when it comes to email marketing for e-commerce. And really, we recommend them to every client every time they ask us, hey, do you guys do email? And I tell them, nope, not our thing, but here's the company that we recommend that you go to and talk to if you need help with your email. So Adam, I don't know if you have a presentation prepared or we can just chat about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I had a few questions for you as well.
I do have a few slides prepared. Happy to run through them, but also happy to just jam with you, Khaled, and just talk about anything.
Let's do both. So we're going to start with a few questions. Maybe we'll cover them. So did you start preparing? Did you start having the conversation with your clients about Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
I think generally the trend has been to go sooner over the years, and we're seeing conversations start now as far back as August, even July, about people planning, especially as you know, in e-commerce, there's inventory considerations, cash flow, forecasting. So you really need to have a finger on the pulse of stock levels and things like this, as opposed to just, let's run this strategy and this offer. It's a lot more intricate than that. So the conversation needs to start a lot sooner. And in terms of the general marketing strategy, yes, I think most people now are trying to go in a lot earlier to try and capitalize on people's attention. I think the actual holiday period has just became a 2-month discount period in a lot of circles as well, which I disagree with, but we'll get into that.
Yep.
But the general theme is, start early and end later, I would say, for most people.
Okay. And since we're talking e-commerce and this is kind of last question, and then you can jump into your presentation. Since we are talking e-commerce, you guys mostly work with companies in the UK, worldwide, US. How does that break down? And what are you seeing in terms of sales in the last couple of months?
I think it's been a tough time in general for the industry, to be quite frank about things. We're mostly working with people in the US. Surprisingly, I would say 80% of our clients are there, maybe even more now, mainly because you guys seem to have more money than people in the UK. And I just think the industry is just a lot more advanced in the US. So we're generally working there. Some people doing really well, a lot of people struggling, to be candid. And I think we can get into this again. A lot of people need to be very careful when it comes to mapping out Black Friday and not fall down this rabbit hole of staying competitive when it doesn't make sense for the business. And I've seen these pitfalls happen a lot, and I want to warn people to the dangers of avoiding them.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think we're seeing the same trend where usually, kind of September, things start kind of to pick up. Things kind of gearing up towards the holiday. But I would have to say July, August, September have been interesting, to put it mildly, for most companies we're working with, where sales are flattening, and if you look year over year, sometimes they're dropping. So It's gonna be an interesting ride over the next 6 months. Adam, why don't you share your presentation? Like, let's like, start with that. I have a few slides. I'll talk also about the strategy that we follow when it comes to e-commerce, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But we'll start with your slides. And for
Sure,
those of you who are
definitely.
watching, by the way, if you have any questions, just drop us the question in the chat, and we'll be more than glad to answer those.
Let me know when you can see this, Khaled. Is it okay?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okie dokie. Right, everyone okay? Yeah. Cool. I'll just jump right into it. So the title of this is the Profitable Black Friday Cyber Monday Email Marketing Strategy. And I want to not rein people's enthusiasm in for this, because I know it's a bit of a Super Bowl, as they say in e-commerce, but I also think we need to be pragmatic as well and not get involved in this race to the bottom, as I mentioned in the introduction, and making sure, most importantly, that it makes sense for your business and that you're not staying competitive for the sake of it when it doesn't make sense and it can actually damage you in subsequent months. So what do I mean by that? So for me, a good Black Friday one I've seen plenty of times. I've also seen bad Black Fridays. A good Black Friday is offers that are profitable with a strong contribution margin for your store. So having good gross margins and not necessarily just discounting for the sake of it when it doesn't make sense and hurts the bottom line. There's no point to have really high revenue if you're at a negative contribution margin compared to even slow months, which I've seen a lot of people do. I do understand at the same time you need to stay competitive, and it's a good period to acquire a lot of customers, but you've got to strike a balance between the two and look at the future marginal gains. Offers landing in the inbox. So not only driving good profitable sales, you also need to drive good engagement as well. And this is typically where a lot of people get lost on their most profitable channel, because it's so saturated during this period and there's so many messages bombarding customers. It's very easy to fall into this quagmire where the message just ultimately doesn't get through and you end up really disappointed with your returns. And the final one is the offers an opportunity for people to come back and repurchase. I think this is a huge missed opportunity. People generally approach the planning and promotional periods with one singular offer. For example, here's 25% off or here's 30% off, and then they extend it maybe on Cyber Monday. It's a big mistake, and the best Black Fridays we've ran over email are actually when the brands are creating a lot of excitement and anticipation over many different days. And how do you do that? In my opinion, you should have different offers for every single day. And the reason being is because it keeps the audience excited. It gives them a reason to check in every single day rather than being hit by the same repetitive message. And it also conditions the customers to actually check in as well, gives them opportunities to come back. So in my opinion, you should have numerous opportunities to come back and repurchase. And if you have the same static discounts, even if it does increase on the final day, people already know what the game is when you send your first email. So I like to have things different to keep the excitement and momentum building throughout. So here's a 9-step strategy. We followed this most years. I'm always obviously tweaking things as we learn from previous years, but I think these are as close to fail-proof, at least for me, that I've seen over the past 3-4 years. A lot of these people will be familiar with. Some of it's just basic common sense, but that's what you need during this period. It's basic common sense. So number one is actually before Black Friday, and this is something that always should be ongoing. Everybody knows in e-commerce, you need to acquire customers beforehand. If you're trying to compete with ads with competitor businesses during the busiest part of the year, and you're already giving away your margin, then it's a recipe for disaster. And sometimes you can lose a lot of money just trying to stay in this race to the bottom with other people. So think about the acquisition strategies in the previous months leading up to the event, And sometimes you can even have not the strongest contribution margin here on July, August, September, depending on what the repurchase cycles are for your store. You can see here the CAC is relatively stable in this very quick example I threw up. But if you're giving away 20, 30%, then that's something that you need to consider as well when you're forecasting in. You can end up hurting yourself trying to be competitive, not just on offers in the inbox, but also when you're acquiring people. So try and get people onto the list and the database beforehand, so then you can recoup the margin when you start to obviously send the promotions out. So I think this is very, very important, and a lot of people miss. They put all the effort and all the budget into November, December. That's the most competitive time when it's most expensive. You should start beforehand, and then, in my opinion, fall back onto email, SMS, and direct mail to be more profitable during this period, because you're going to get squeezed on ads really high. So know your margins. Discounting for the sake of remaining competitive, as I've said, is just a race to the bottom a lot of time. And even I've seen plenty of brands that we've worked with, when you look at the margins, even 10% on the pop-up, you can lead to 50% reduction in the profits. So you need to create offers that make sense for your store. Everyone's got different unit economics. I don't know what they are. You need to know what they are. And also, very importantly, you need to tell the agency that you're working with what they are as well. You can't just expect these agencies to create blanket strategies that work for all stores. It's very, very important that you share your figures directly with them, so they know how to create things that make sense for your store. And obviously, the onus is on the agency to ask the right questions more than anything, so they can create the best possible strategy. So assuming that you've got your house in order, I actually like to keep things relatively simple. In my opinion, Black Friday is not necessarily a period for massive experimentation. It's for consistency and making sure that you hit your forecast and you don't end up disappointed, especially if you're investing in inventory and things like this. So one of the things I like to do, and you can go back as far as 2 years, is just to pull historical campaigns of all the offers that you've sent previously and look at what the best selling ones were, what resonated most with your customers, what did people take you up on most with the coupon redemption, and create a list, for example, of the 10 best campaigns over that period. There is nothing wrong with backing winning horses again. In fact, I recommend to do this as opposed to creating something totally new from scratch. And Khaled, this is your field, right? It's experimentation. Not every test is going to win. So just back a winning horse, in my opinion, over this period. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to be super creative. You need to come in with something basic that's going to be effective and that works. And this is where CRO and experimentation can really lend itself to email, because if you are working with CRO agency or you have an experimentation department, the email, SMS retention team need to be harvesting those insights from the experimentation team. They need to be finding out the successful tests and integrating them into your strategy. And if they do have a historical log of a lot of things around offers, which I'm sure they do, then repurpose them and don't reinvent the wheel over email. And I mentioned this before in the introduction, different offers for each day of the promotion. Might be a bit difficult if you're selling a mattress and you've only got one SKU, but if you do have multiple products, keep the novelty factor high for customers. Give them a reason to come back and repurchase. Different offers on every single day keeps the excitement high, keeps people coming back, and it gives them another reason to check in. So I've seen very, very effective results by following this strategy in particular. Moving on to number 3, and before we even start the promotional period for email and SMS, this is something that I've been really pushing hard on this year for our clients. And I think direct mail is going through a bit of a renaissance, and I'll explain why I think this is really important. If you look at email and SMS engagement post 30-day subscription, it falls off a cliff. Like, there's no two ways around it. I'm not in denial. I'm an email marketer, but you lose over half of the ability to communicate with your customers really within a 30 to 60-day period. And that's natural. You do have some natural churn. Not everyone checks email, not everyone checks SMS, but direct mail is another adjunct that you should be adding into the mix. And how I recommend approaching this is, because direct mail is a more expensive channel, it's around 50 cents per send. Create a segment of win back opportunities that have some high historical value. So even if you break even on a ROAS context, at least you're bringing the customers back into your net active customer base. So when you do retarget them over Black Friday, you should get some strong returns. So I do recommend being very aggressive with direct mail here. Quick segments that anyone can set up. Who's placed an order twice over all time, but hasn't placed an order in the last 90 days and is not engaged over email? And then try and create some type of offer or incentive to lure these people back into that net active subscriber base. If they go ahead and re-engage, then theoretically you should be able to start emailing them and texting them again. And you don't even need huge returns on this campaign. You might just even have a small loss by bringing people back into this net active subscriber base, but you're hoping that in the future you make up the revenue and you generate profitability by increasing the audience that you can target in the subsequent campaigns. So I'm very, very bullish on direct mail, as you probably gathered now, as a mechanism to rope people back in so you can retarget them on more profitable channels. The fourth one is tell your customers the schedule ahead of the day. I've seen people end up disappointed because they keep it really ambiguous. They like to think their brand is shrouded in this mystique and they're really special to customers. If we're being brutally honest, a lot of people are just looking for the best deal. So just tell them up front when the deal is going to happen. Don't make them guess. Make it easy for them to actually redeem the deal. And it's all about reducing friction. I don't understand why people try and keep it really mysterious and hidden from the customers. Tell them the schedule ahead of the day or the week. And I don't mean you necessarily have to reveal the explicit offers, but I like to even tell people the very specific times and dates that certain offers will be released and when they will be available. Because again, you're conditioning customers to check their inbox. And when it's a period of intense competition and saturation, you need to focus on making sure that you get their attention consistently rather than guessing and hoping that they will just gravitate towards it. So one of the strategies that does work really well for this to help you land in the inbox is whitelisting the campaigns. And you've probably seen this in welcome flows and various campaigns, but it's basically just asking customers to favorite the email, move it to your primary inbox, mark it as important, and add these filters around Gmail, Outlook, whatever ISP that you use. This is a good way to cut through the noise and hopefully land in the inbox during Black Friday as well. So get those whitelisting emails sent out before the day of the event. This will have a small marginal impact on being able to connect with people. And the fifth one, another strategy that we've started to use last year, which we are using again this year, is creating a custom event that customers can add to the calendar. And I think this is really cool because if you have a Gmail, G Suite account, or whatever you use for work, or a lot of people manage their calendars within the same software as the ISP, you will get a push notification the day an event starts. So if you're able to go ahead and create this custom URL from something like your Google Calendar, you can then add it to a CTA button in an email, get your best customers to click on that, and it adds to their calendar, and then they will receive a push notification on the day that the event starts, which gives them the information. So really smart, effective way to cut through the noise again, give people a notification, and also improve inbox placement. ISPs like Gmail, Outlook, they love it when people click on the emails because it says that you're engaging the customers. So this is good for deliverability as well. So huge proponent of this strategy. It's going to put you in good stead. Number 6 is making sure that your flows and your automation is congruent with your offers. So if you have discounts and coupons set up already within your website and your automation, for example, most people use dynamic coupons in abandoned carts, welcome flows, 10% off, 20% off, but you're running a 30% off sale, then you're going to have mixed messaging when people abandon the cart, which they do, because they'll be shopping on other websites. And you want to minimize customer service headaches as well. If people are receiving overlapping discounts and misaligned messages, then they're going to get confused. They're going to bug the customer service, and it's a poor user experience. So very few quick tweaks that you can make. Just change the abandoned cart email to just one singular email, like in this example, and look at these core flows and modify the verbiage. Abandoned cart, your welcome flow, and your browse abandonment flow. So these are the main ones that people are going to trigger during Black Friday. And that's typically where a lot of the discounts are already baked in. You don't need to build out whole new flows, 4 or 5 emails. No, just change the core email, shut off the other emails for the period of the week or 3 or 4 days, however long that you run it, and then switch them back on after this period's finished. You're going to save yourself a lot of headaches with customer support, and hopefully you will drive better conversions as well. Sign-up forms is another one. This goes back to the beginning. So if we just take a step back, realign your sign-up forms, try and bulk up your SMS list, or if you know people are going to hold off buying in the preceding week, before the sale, then change the verbiage on your sign-up forms accordingly. One of the things I like to do is just to create SMS exclusive forms. Normally people have a good email database, but they're a bit behind with their SMS one. So I will try to retarget existing subscribers to incentivize them to subscribe over SMS. Reason being is because you want to build all these channels in parallel. If someone's not engaged on email, you can target them with SMS. If someone's not engaged with SMS, you want to target them with email. And that's the same with direct mail as well. It's not either or, it's using all the channels harmoniously together and meeting the customer where they are. So take a look at your sign-up forms and make sure that they're aligned with your overall strategy during this period. Most people have exactly the same as the flows. 10% off is always on the website, and they completely forget that they're running a 20%, 30% off sale, which makes no sense. So not only is it invasive, poor user experience, and it's going to lead to potentially customer support tickets as well. So as you're getting closer to the big day, just very, very basic, stay organized, create your sending calendar. Again, don't try and reinvent the wheel here. Just plan out a simple schedule. I've seen a lot of people end up super stressed. They miss a forecast, they miss their targets, and they start to end up with this really scattered, frenetic approach over the weekend, trying to make up for lost sales. If you're going to plan things like resends, then just bake them into this schedule already. Have a very clear map of what times you're going to send out your emails, your SMS, texts, and also your resends as well, and have that laid out clear. And if you follow a good strategy, then you shouldn't be worrying too much about the results. A warm-up email. So this is something that is another deliverability inbox placement trick before we send the offers out, and we're getting towards the ends now, that I always like to follow. And that is changing the sender name to a message from the CEO. For example, Adam at Magnet Monster as opposed to Magnet Monster. And how you want to run this is super simple. I apologize for the long-winded example here, but you can basically see it's a message from the CEO. And what you're doing here is you're prepping the customer. It's a pattern interrupt. So it's plain text. It's, whoa, who's this? Why is the CEO messaging? And you're just notifying the customers that there's going to be a sale event during these few days. You can lay out your schedule here, as I mentioned before, to tell the customers what to expect, as well as asking them to add it to the calendar if necessary. But the point is, these land in the inbox. They're really great for that. They also cut through the noise. It's a strong pattern interrupt, and it gets the customer prepared for that big day as well. So very simple technique. I always send this out a few days before the actual promotions start going out, and it just conditions customers ready for the actual offers. And the final one is the use of resends and segmentation intelligently. Now, there is a lot of saturation and noise during this period. There's tons and tons of messages going out. And the reality is you need to stay competitive, and you will need to send more emails and more text. There's always a balance between what constitutes a negative customer experience. But at the end of the day, look, this is a business. You need to make money. We all do. And if that means sending a few more, so what? You've just got to remain competitive. Once this period's over, you can revert to a more sensible cadence. However, in saying that, you don't need to destroy your deliverability in the process. And this is one thing that is always a balancing act, and something I'm constantly in conversations with clients about is, why don't we just message the whole list, just hit them again? You can't do that, because not because we don't want to reach as many recipients as possible. It's because there's algorithms in inboxes like Gmail and Outlook. And when you're trying to target unengaged recipients, they're going to mark you down, and they're going to adversely impact your future ability to target these people. So there's always a bit of art meets science with inbox placement, and this is no different over Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So what I like to do on this period, and this is one thing we've been doing a lot in the past year to drive more revenue from campaigns, is something I called high intent campaign retargeting. And what this essentially is just intelligent segmentation follow-ups. So rather than a traditional resend, which targets someone, and if they don't open the email or purchase, they just resend the whole email, I've been creating segments of people who clicked the email but didn't purchase. So, the tracking is decent and they've shown intent. And then I've been going ahead and creating very, very simple plain text follow-ups. And the beauty of this is that you can remain extremely agile. Anyone can create these in the ESP, and they're extremely personable to the customer. Hey, seen you were interested in this. Want to let you know this is when the offer expires. Or it doesn't even need to be an offer. It can be a follow-up from customer support. So anytime you get that click data, there's nothing wrong with going ahead and retargeting a segment of those customers within 24, 48 hours with another send. And the results that we're seeing from this is around 20% additional revenue per email. So it's super, super powerful. And the great thing is it's extremely personalized to the customer, because they've already clicked, they've shown their intent. So the unsubscribe's low. ISPs are going to love it, because you're getting good click rates, good engagement, and again, you're getting that incremental lift in revenue. And the resource costs are low. You don't have to do a flashy HTML, super nice designed email. Plain text is what works best with this, and it's going to allow you to stay agile. And that is my 9-step super simple strategy. So there's nothing groundbreaking or revolutionary in there, but I think anyone who tries to sell you some magical idea is just not being true to the word. Ultimately, Black Friday is about having acquired good customers, having a solid offer, the basic fundamentals of any brand, not trying to reinvent the wheel, focusing on inbox placement, because that's what's going to drive engagement, and then backing the winning horses. And if you do that, you should end up with great results. Of course, a bit of shameless promotion, Khaled, at the end. Please excuse me. But I do have a newsletter. I release a new strategy every single Thursday, and you can obviously join via the link there. I've published one every single week this year, except last week when I moved home. So I do apologize. That was the first one I've mixed, but I do try and provide as much value there. Thank you very much, everyone.
Adam, no, keep the newsletter up so people can see it for a little bit, because you talked about it, but you didn't show people the link. So let's keep it up. I love, actually, to be honest with you, I took screenshots of a few things. I'm like, oh, I gotta check with some of the companies we're working with to make sure that they're implementing some of those strategies. Hey, like, let me ask you a couple of questions. I love the fact that you put a calendar telling people, hey, here's our offer calendar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, and I'll say over 5 days. And I'm, again, like, this might be a stupid question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. Are you thinking that, hey, we're going to be having offers on this category? Are we going to, have free shipping on this? What kind of offers are we talking about to vary them, like, over 4 or 5 days? What do you think?
Well, I think being realistic, this works best with stores who have multiple SKUs, because then there is actually something that you can speak about that's different every single day. Whereas if you sell one mattress, I know everyone uses the mattress example, but it's like, okay, you offer 20% one day, free shipping the next. What else can you really say? Unless you're having bundles with pillows and some bedding. And this is something that works best generally for consumer packaged goods stores, or stores where they've got multiple SKUs. And there's obviously a lot of things to check out. So you're right, it is category dependent, and it has to be bespoke to that specific store's niche.
I love that. And I love the email from the CEO. It's like, hey, because it's unexpected, correct? And especially if you do just simple email, text, no design or anything like that, because that will land in the inbox and people will open it. And sometimes I've done this in the past for Invesp, where I say, hey, I'm a real person, email me back. And oh my God, the amount of emails that I get as a response from people. So I love that. Awesome. Well, if anybody, I got the message, by the way, that the chat is not working, but the Q&A functionality is working. Adam talked about email and, how do we actually optimize email? And it's funny because you will hear lots of the thoughts on the website side of things, as I continue on that. So you're getting people to the site. What do we do in terms of our Black Friday, Cyber Monday? So let me kind of jump in over here.
Would you like me to stop sharing now, Carl?
Yeah, I think, if you don't mind. And let's see, hopefully. Okie doke. So let's talk about what did we do. I'm going to answer just a simple question because I get this all the time. Do we conduct A/B testing during Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Yes, we do. Lots of companies do a code freeze beginning of November. They're like, we're not going to touch the website. We're worried that we're going to break something. We actually think of the period Black Friday, Cyber Monday, actually until the end of the year as your really most significant period to generate the most revenue that you can. Now you need to be intelligent about it. You shouldn't be really losing money in order for you to generate sales, because that would not make any sense. At the same time, what we do typically in an A/B test, our goal is to learn about our customers. We want to learn, we have a hypothesis, and we're trying to test different things. And our customers are behaving this way. That's typical A/B testing. That's all of that goes out the window during the holidays. In all honesty, we're not trying to learn about our customers. We're trying to maximize our revenue. So what we do typically, when we do A/B testing, we don't use typical A/B testing algorithm. We use what we call a multi-arm bandit. What does that mean? Well, I have, let's say, one offer, 3 different creatives for that offer, and I'm running the test. And usually when you run a multi-arm bandit, you're telling the software, hey, split the traffic equally between those different designs. And if you notice that one of those designs is doing better, send more people to it. So the software is constantly saying, oh, look at that. Design 1 is doing better. Let's give it 10% more visitors. Oh, design 3 is doing absolutely horrible. Let's take the traffic from there. So it's very intelligent. And again, the goal from that is to maximize your revenue. Okay. What's the strategy? We really go for a simple one. We've tried in the past. I remember 10 years ago, like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And we discovered that keep it simple. will make your life tremendously easier. We focus typically on few offers. Don't go overboard with way too many offers. And I'll show you over here. Here is a design we worked with Z Gallery, and initially they had all these offers. If you notice, up to 50% off, something on the cookware, something on gifts of glam. They had way too many offers. Like, this is a little confusing with all those different offers that you have. And what we did over here was we tested with V1s, like, hey, up to 50% off. And then we had the hottest deals, and then up to 50% off, again, one consistent offer. And then we took free shipping on one of their categories. And it was fascinating because all the different variations that we had actually beat the control, which had too many offers, too many things. Like, it's almost like you're shouting at the customer. Something else, again, if you notice over here, look, no, this is actually from a different year from Z Gallery, where he said, hey guys, let's focus on one offer. So they came and they said, okay, we're going to do 25% free shipping. And then over here, which was sort of interesting, we went, okay, so we have the offer, let's test different creatives within that offer. So one offer, but now we're not changing, we're not testing the different offers. And of course, if you notice over here, we went with 70%, and you can tell which one actually won, but again, 70%, and we're changing the bottom section. So if you can see, this was their original 25%. We wanted to make it more prominent, correct? So we went for a large space. Hey, we have the sale, and we've tested 70% off, 70% off. We ran the experiment. All of them beat the original, which was also fascinating. 6%, 26%, and 14% lift in conversions. Now, again, this is running multi-arm bandits, and it's running for 4 or 5 days, correct? So you're trying to maximize. And what the software is going to say, oh, I think I moved. The software is going to say, let's go back over here. Oh, V2 is doing really well. It's 26% more conversions. Let's send more people to it. So again, simplify the offers and test the creative within the offer. If you notice over here, Z Gallery gets millions of visitors, but we opted for 3 different designs hitting the same message. Number 2, emphasize your offer and add scarcity to it. So one thing that you notice over here, so this is a test that we've ran. Okay, so there's an add to cart, and we said, hey, we need to, again, give thanks, 30% off, great. And what we said is like, hey, how about if we add a timer as well above the add to cart? So if you notice, 30% discount and a timer just next to the add to cart. So that's one way to do it. And then we said, hey, it would be interesting if we had the 30% below the cart. We wonder if that's actually going to impact people. And then in design 4, we said, hey, let's do the 30% off with a timer. And we tested this, and it's fascinating. The below the CTA, including the clock, generated a 14% lift in conversion. So again, we focus on scarcity, correct? We focus on urgency over here, and we really push people close to the CTA to take an action. You need to remind your visitors with your offer throughout the journey. So if you start with email, continue that on the website. And with that, I like just a simple banner at the top of the website. You know, give thanks. Again, that's the 30% off. So it's there. People are not going to miss it. Now, there's different philosophies when it comes to discounts and coupons. I'm a big fan of just applying the coupons and not having people search for them. If you have a sale, just do it. You know, otherwise, guess what? I will go and search, and sometimes I forget and I get annoyed. I think it's just very simple. You're not going to trick people into doing business with you. So just make their life easier. And as you notice over here, this had a 12% lift in conversions with a chance to win of almost 95%. You can test the offers with a different brand. We showed some of that, but remember, and I'll finish with this point, it's not only Black Friday, Cyber up to Cyber Monday. We're continuing. I mean, it's kind of a calendar. And for us, from that night, Thursday night, 12 a.m., I guess that Thursday, until Christmas, we have a full calendar of different things that we're going to test. The winners on Black Friday are going to be our controls on Cyber Mondays. Like, hey, this is I won. Can we do better? So we're constantly we're trying to generate more traffic, more conversions during that period. I think that covers everything that I've had in terms of the strategy that we implement on the website. Adam, final thoughts.
I think it's interesting what parallels you've drawn compared to us, and I'm a big fan of just removing friction, making things easy to understand, and CRO and email should work hand in hand and integrate to each other, because everything that you've basically shared as learnings there, it's been the same for us. And even the simplicity of the designs, making things like coupons very clear, changing the verbiage to make it simple. For me, the take-home message is just make it easy for the customer and you'll get better outcomes.
Yeah. Simple and easy, I think, will win, especially when you have a captive audience and they're ready to convert. Just make it easier for them to convert. Remove all these hurdles out of their way, and they'll pull up their credit card and place an order with you.
Exactly.
With that, thank you everyone for attending. We will be sharing the recording. I think we'll be sharing the recording later this week with everyone. Adam, I know, you had a million things going on. Thank you for jumping and doing this webinar with us. You've shared many wonderful lessons, and I know I've jotted a whole bunch of notes that I'm going to be sharing with the team. Thank you everyone again. Until next time.
Cheers, Gareth.
Cheers.